Where have you been?
I went to some ice festival. It was really pretty.
And why does it look like you were sleeping?
I fell asleep on the train, I think.
You? Falling asleep on public transportation?
Lillian bent forward, holding her hand against Charlotte's forehead. Charlotte pushed it to the side. Hibiki, a fox again, sat laying in her purse.
Where are we going?
Well, you didn't like the karaoke bar. I figured we'd go clubbing.
How is that an improvement?
Come on. Do you want to meet a guy or don't you?
A guy, yeah. A one-night stand in a foreign country? No.
Boo! Have some fun. You've been moping over what's-his-name for over 2 years.
You know his name is John. It's not even about John. I just learned a hard lesson. It's easier to just go it alone.
Lillian flicked Charlotte's forehead.
What was that for?
Next thing you know, you'll start adopting too many cats, and we won't have kids at the same time, and they won't grow up and marry each other, so we can be sisters.
I saw where that started. You have this planned out, don't you?
Do me a favor. I want what's best for you. Just try and have fun tonight. You know, F-U-N. I can sing the fun song. We might get sued. I'm not sure if it's copyright infringement, but I'll sing it if it'll get you to stop complaining.
I'm coming! Just don't sing. My ears can't take the punishment.
Aw, I want to hear the fun song.
Shh.
Lillian ran at Charlotte, embracing her too tightly.
Yes! Too tight!
Charlotte sat at the bar. Hibiki lounged on the counter in front of her, lapping out a shot glass. Lillian was surrounded by a crowd, as always, laughing a little too loudly and touching one of the guys a little too intimately.
I don't get it. You're a spirit, but you still need to eat and drink?
And sleep.
About going to the bathroom.
Yep. Spirit doesn't mean ghost.
But you went through that glass case at the museum and possessed that guy.
It all has to do with frequency.
Let's skip the lectures for now.
Deal. I'm more interested in this John guy.
Don't make me tell that story.
I could just skip to pushing to flirt with, tall, dark, and handsome over there, a few stools down. He's been looking at you, trying not to get caught. I don't understand. Is that a move? Why doesn't he just walk up to you?
Not everyone is as bold as you, Hibiki. John was perfect. Well, he definitely acted perfect. Bright smile, big career, sweet as pie.
Hey, you think the kitchen is still open?
Fine, never mind.
And then the act got old?
Or he got what he wanted.
Oof. Another woman?
Women, plural. He wanted a homemaker while he went off and played. We moved in, I cooked and cleaned for him around my job because my parents told me when you love someone, you should be willing to make a home for them.
And for him, it was like having another mom. He could do what he wanted and still have all the fun he wanted.
Bingo.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
You're a spirit. You don't have to be sorry. I don't know if you even have relationships.
I was married once, to this woman a few centuries ago. She was sweet, real generous in bed.
Wow, that's too much information.
But her family didn't approve. And eventually, they made it too difficult for her. She asked me what she should do. I told her to follow her heart, which was her family.
I didn't expect such a deep answer.
We all have our scars.
How old are you?
Technically or really? I have no idea how long I've been around. They didn't keep track of time as well as when I first appeared in this world. But overall, probably about 30.
30?
Yeah. Combined, I've only been around for 30 years. When my altar is messed up, I disappear. Where I go, I have no real memory of it. It's been 20 years since I woke up, and I was only around for a week last time.
Why's that?
It has to do with the treasure. What's your type?
Are we talking about guys again?
I don't know how long I'll be around, so it's probably best to do what I can for you while I'm around.
Does that always happen?
Pretty much. And I'll wake up later. No, you get used to it. It's like sleeping and waking up 20 years later in a single night.
You really must have seen a lot.
I have. And, you're stalling. Now tell me, before someone kicks you out of the bar for talking to thin air, what's your type?
Tall, dark, and handsome. Someone real. I don't know. It's not even looks that really matter.
That's a lie.
All right. They matter, but they're not the most important part. Substance, intelligence, kindness. What's your type?
Don't change the subject.
Please indulge me. Just pretend we're two friends out for drinks.
Well, we are partners in crime. Well, I have a thing for good girls, so I can corrupt them. I can't describe it. For me, it was always something you just feel.
And it's with human women?
A few other spirits, too.
That's a good definition. I want to just feel it.
Then let's go with it.
Hibiki, wait!
Hibiki jumped at Charlotte. She falls over, and a man ran over, trying to help her up.
I'm fine. Thanks.
It was the same man who had been sitting at the edge of the bar. He apologized for not moving faster, and he helped Charlotte back to her seat. Then came the conversation. The same conversation that made her cringe. What's her name? What's her job? What brings an American out to Japan? Where did she learn Japanese? Well, that was new. This bracelet was pretty crazy, Charlotte thought. But after a half hour of the man's flirting and buying Charlotte drinks, which she refused one by one, she started getting irritated.
Is everything okay?
Lillian was dancing with the businessman, or at least that's what Charlotte would think from the suit that he was wearing. Hibiki seemed worried, sitting on top of the bar. Charlotte shot him a look, pleading with him to help.
As the static fades and the voices fill the speakers, the road you're traveling, the room you're sitting in, it'll start to twist and turn, becoming something beyond ordinary, something beyond this world. Join us as we travel beyond the stars, deep underground, or in the innermost depths of the human mind. You just tuned into the Radioverse.
I'm sorry to cut in, but you did promise me a dance.
Charlotte glanced to the bar. Hibiki, the fox, was gone. The dark-haired man continued flirting until Hibiki, the man, appeared. He walked up to Charlotte and, without a word, took her hand and pulled her onto the dance floor. The man looked angry and stormed off.
I'm starting to see why you don't date. Do guys always give you looks like that?
I'm not as strong as Lillian. She sees it as empowering. It makes me feel like I'm an animal in a zoo.
And John never...
He knew just what to say and how to say it.
How about we call it quits? Just enjoy the rest of the night tonight. No pressure, no dating advice. Just two partners in crime.
You have no idea how relaxing that sounds.
Babe, where did you find that guy?
My name's Hibiki.
Lillian ran over and hugged Charlotte, reaching around and shaking Hibiki's hand.
He is so hot.
I can hear you.
Good. Now, I'm going to be going with this gentleman for a bit. Can I trust you with Charlotte? She does turn into a pumpkin once midnight hits.
Don't worry. I'll have her home safe and sound before then.
But it's already midnight.
Then I better hurry.
Remember, the train leaves early.
Lillian watched Charlotte and Hibiki walk out of the bar, completely confused, as her man of the moment threw his arm around her.
Hey, that's my line. Something fishy is going on here.
Hibiki and Charlotte stood in the snow. The moonlight reflected off of it, giving the air a luminescent quality.
Say I was a genie and you had 3 wishes.
I hate being put on the spot. I never know what to say.
Just give it your best shot.
World peace.
Nope. Be original.
What's wrong with world peace?
Too boring. Conflict is what makes the world go round. 3 wishes. Go.
I make enough money to get by. I never really thought about being rich. This is difficult. What about you? What would your 3 wishes be?
Unlimited power, filthy rich, and true love.
A romantic fox.
Spirit. Spirit. Spirit.
A greedy one, too.
He pulls out the coin and twirled it playfully along his fingers. Charlotte reached for it, and he pulled it away quickly.
Hey, I could become human. Oh, could is the word. Then I live a mortal existence, die like the rest of the world.
You couldn't be a fox anymore?
Or possess people. Or any fun things like that.
Quite a trade-off. Ever consider it?
Once or twice.
Good option to have in your back pocket.
Hibiki pocketed the coin and looked at Charlotte with concern on his face.
You should deface my altar.
Why would you say that?
I haven't been completely honest with you. To exist, I need someone to wear that bracelet. It links me to this world and that person. But when we get to Tokyo and I find the next clue, we'll have competition. It could get dangerous.
How dangerous?
Hibiki raised his hand. His hair turned white, and he sprouted a tail. Even his face had red streaks on his cheeks. A hybrid between a human and a fox. Fire shot out of his hand and hit the snow, erupting into a shower of rain for a second before collapsing. Hibiki turned back to normal.
You could die.
Then protect me.
I'm sorry, aren't you listening to me? What if something happens to you?
Just don't let anything happen to me then.
Are you always this damn stubborn?
Look, you have unfinished business, and this vacation has finally become enjoyable. Because I have someone to spend it with instead of Lil chasing guy after guy.
I don't want anything to happen to you!
Why would you care what happens to me?
I don't know. You think I have all the answers? I just know that seeing something happen to you, I couldn't just handle it.
That's very sweet.
Why are we yelling?
I think I'm still tired from the train.
You understand that if I can't protect you,
I'm not going to turn back anymore.
then lead the way.
Charlotte started walking back to the hotel. Hibiki turned back into a fox and followed her. Charlotte looked up at her alarm clock. It was buzzing. She went to dismiss it, but was surprised to see Hibiki, in fox form, brushing his teeth with his paws in the sink. She missed the alarm clock completely and fell out of bed.
It's about time. My ears are killing me.
Why didn't you turn it off?
Then you'd never get up.
Still snarky as ever.
Lillian came by, grabbed some things. I think she's showering and cursing at the same time. I think you better get dressed.
Is it that late?
Charlotte and Lillian barely made the train on time, both of them messy and dragging a bag. The conductor didn't look pleased, but after an apology in Japanese from Charlotte, he looked more taken aback. They relaxed for the long train ride until Hibiki stood up from his spot on the floor, stretched and perked up his furry ears. His whiskers twitched as he began walking towards the rear of the car.
Where are you going?
I'm just going to hit the bathroom.
Are you talking to me?
I'll be right back.
Hibiki stopped into the bathroom and changed into a human. He continued walking until he reached the back of the train, a few cars down. He stopped in front of another young man who sat looking out the window.
Back in town?
I'm warning you right now. The girl is off limits.
Nice to see you too.
I'm warning you, Tatsuya. She's not a part of this.
She chose to be.
Harm one hair on her head, and I swear I'll make sure they won't recognize you in the morgue.
I haven't seen you this riled up in ages.
The train went through a tunnel. Tatsuya and Hibiki were thrown into complete darkness. When the lights came back on, both of them stood facing each other. Hibiki's fangs and white hair, a stark contrast to Tatsuya's black wings and eyes.
Fight here? And we guarantee we won't make it to the temple. And your little friend won't survive.
Don't make me regret giving you a truce.
I'm a bird of my word.
Hibiki watched Tatsuya turn into a raven and fly through the wall of the car. He took a deep breath and changed back into a fox to return to the girls. The group walked off the platform and towards a taxi which took them to a hotel. Lillian talked the entire time, but Charlotte was focused on Hibiki, whose eyes were glazed to the window, looking out anxiously, not at the city, but above it. Charlotte reached over and pet the fox gently behind his ears. He relaxed.
It's nothing.
Don't give me that.
I know. Can you believe him? Trying to say that I'm cheap? Some men, I swear, all they see us for is...
You should have defaced my altar.
I stand by what I said.
Preach, girl, preach. I don't care what...
Hibiki suddenly got to his feet and floated out of the car. There was something incoming. Something fast. There was an explosion of light, but no one else seemed to notice it but Charlotte. Hibiki was flying in the air, grappling a man covered in feathers. Her bracelet was glowing, but Lillian didn't notice and kept talking. Charlotte could feel her heart race. Hibiki's hair was a bright white, as his human features seemed to contort into something bestial while they exchanged blows.
I need to.
Are you okay?
I'm not feeling well.
We're almost there. Don't worry.
Hibiki was thrown towards the ground. His body slammed against a moving car, which swerved and crashed into a light pole. Hibiki slowly raised himself up, in obvious pain. Tatsuya slowly landed in front of him. Cars came to a halt to examine the accident.
No, you can't do this here.
Don't patronize me. Do you think it matters if a few of them die?
Damn it, Tetsuya. This is wrong. This is between you and me.
I don't like it when people get in my way. They make it more complicated.
Tatsuya flew towards Hibiki. The wind beneath his feathers rocked the cars around him. Hibiki raised his hands up to protect himself, surrounding himself with a wall of flames. People began abandoning their cars, seeing only the flames. Tatsuya punched Hibiki. Hibiki flew back a few feet, but came back with the same ferocity.
That's more like it. Don't hold back.
Should have killed you when I had the chance!
You should have. I'll ask you nicely. Give me the coin.
You know I can't do that.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Hibiki!
They stopped fighting. Charlotte was running towards them. Tatsuya grinned. He turned towards her, but Hibiki blocked his path, his arms outstretched.
Leave her out of this!
That's the problem with you. This whole caring for the animal thing. It really pisses me off.
Get out of here! No!
Tetsuya flew at Charlotte. Lillian, getting out of the car, looked puzzled. She covered her eyes as a huge gust of wind threw cars out of the way and tossed people into the air like they weighed nothing as they tried to escape with their lives. When the dust settled, Hibiki stood in front of Charlotte with Tetsuya's claw deep in his stomach. Hibiki grabbed helplessly at the claw with both of his hands, in pain and exhausted, but not defeated. A giant ember engulfed both of them. Charlotte reached for Hibiki, but the heat from the flames caused her to withdraw. Lillian grabbed Charlotte, dragging her back from the fire. Charlotte kicked and screamed, trying to get out of Lillian's grasp.
He's in there! Let me go! He's in there! Hibiki!
I don't know what's going on.
Stop! Let me go!
No! Last warning. Get out of here, or I'll finish the job.
Tetsuya withdrew his claw. His feathers were burned and his body smoldered, while blood poured from Hibiki's open wound. Two large wings suddenly stretched and expanded from Tetsuya's back.
This isn't over. I'll get that coin.
When hell freezes over.
Tetsuya flew away. Hibiki's hair changed back to normal as he settled into his normal human form, and he slowly slumped to the ground. Charlotte held his hand, laying her head in his lap, crying. Blood pooled around him.
I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. If I didn't...
Charlotte? Did everyone ever say you were an ugly crier?
That's the stupidest comeback I've ever heard.
I told you to destroy my shrine. From now on, it'll only get more dangerous.
They glanced around and noticed that people were hiding, while some took pictures with their phones. Cars were overturned, and a fire still burned in the middle of the street. The lights flickered above them. The traffic light sparked, bent on its wire.
This stupid treasure.
Is it worth it?
It's worth more than you can imagine.
Then I can't have you dying on me.
Really weird weather we're having. Hun? Why is there a bleeding man in your lap?
We need to get him to a hospital.
I think he might need a morgue.
Really, Lillian? Right now?
I'll be fine. It'll heal on its own. See? I'm a spirit, remember? I just need to rest.
Are you sure?
Not my first rodeo.
Lil, we're going to need to check in as soon as possible.
I don't think we're going to get a taxi soon.
You can get us there.
What?
That bracelet. You can alter matter to a degree.
Alter matter?
Do you want to lecture or get somewhere safe?
Right. What do I do?
Lillian, right?
He's talking to me?
Get in close. Show her the address.
Now what? Hibiki, stay with me.
Sorry, I'm starting to pass out. Close your eyes. Say the words over and over again in your head. And then imagine the wind carrying you there.
I'm not sure what's going on, but...
Not now. Just please stay quiet. The address.
Charlotte closed her eyes and kept playing the numbers over and over again in her head. A short gust of wind enveloped them. Circling, golden leaves fell all around them, swirling faster and faster as the bracelet started to glow. In a second, maybe two, the scenery changed from the city street to the lobby of a hotel. The man at the hotel counter was shocked to see them appear and fainted immediately. Golden leaves scattered all across the lobby's floor.
Show him the check-in information.
Hun, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Please, I'm really tired all of a sudden.
Hibiki and Charlotte passed out. Lillian walked over to the recovering clerk and showed him the check-in information.
Son of a... Oh, we forgot our luggage. We had a reservation.
Where am I?
Charlotte raised her hand up to her eyes. The golden sunrise poured in from the windows, momentarily blinding her. She got to her feet and felt a little dizzy. She saw Hibiki sitting at the edge of the bed, shirtless. Everything came back to her. The attack last night, the wound. It was healed over. A scar, one of many covering his stomach.
There's no going back, you know.
I know. How did that happen? How are you okay?
Remember that other side I told you about? Well, we borrow power from it, or exchange energy, because of the overlap in dimensions. And because of that, it produces a level of antimatter which allows us to rearrange the molecular structure of the universe through conduits. Items that don't belong to this world. By imagining and producing thoughts or words, you make things happen. Travel short distances, fly, shoot fire. But it's restricted to the type of object you have.
Is that why the treasure is so important?
Getting it could mean the end of your world. It almost did once upon a time. That's why I need to destroy it.
That's your goal?
There's not many of us left. It might even just be me and Tatsuya.
Tatsuya?
Oh, the Raven. He's after the treasure too. You see, he wants to eradicate everything humanity built, bring the world back to its natural order. He thinks your species is nothing more than animals.
You talk about us like we're so different.
I mean, I don't think you are, but I'm not like most of the spirits, as you can tell. They saw themselves as superior, and one by one, they got carried away. Did horrible things, and eventually died or disappeared.
Can you take him?
What?
If it came down to it, could you kill Tatsuya?
I don't know. We should focus on getting you as far away from here as possible.
Screw that! Let's find that treasure.
And what about you? Could we finally get what you want?
What do I want?
Love? Security?
You don't know many girls, do you?
I mean, I thought I did.
I don't know what I want. I'm sort of figuring it out step by step. Like you, I go by feeling. And right now, I'm feeling like I want to see this through.
Why?
I have no idea.
Hibiki and Charlotte exchange a look and then break out into riotous laughter. They turn around and watch Lillian walk in with their luggage, dragging it over and dropping it.
Don't help or anything.
Lil, I'm so sorry.
You don't need to explain anything. Hottie over there said enough. He's some extra-dimensional being who crosses over into our world because a ley line matches up with his world. He's after a treasure that could make one of his kind into any sort of a god, and he wants to destroy it to save the world. And you're caught up in the middle because you wouldn't just stay with me and socialize.
I'm sorry. Wait, you believe him?
Normally, no. But he's not dead, and we poofed here, and I had to track down the Department of Motor Vehicles, or whatever it's called here, to find out what happened to our luggage. If this was back home, everything would have been stolen, you know. Instead, I dragged it from the lobby because the taxi driver from last night was nice enough to drop it off for me, but not nice enough to help me carry it up the stairs. Don't even ask how I got you both into the room without the cops coming.
I don't know what to say.
Lillian ran over and hugged Charlotte. Charlotte pulled Lillian in tightly.
You're not supposed to be the one comforting me. I'm supposed to be comforted by some super hot shirtless guy who has magic powers. You changed so much, hun. I can't believe you're the same girl from just a few days ago.
You're going to make me cry.
No, I'm gonna cry.
I told you not to.
Are you two okay?
Throw on a shirt. I'm trying to have an emotional moment with my bestie, and you're really distracting me.
Lillian Hibiki and Charlotte stood crushed together on a subway train in the midst of a crowded compartment.
Why didn't we just use your magic?
Isn't it antimatter?
Magic sounds better.
Alright, why is she coming?
You think I'd miss this?
You won't be able to even see us when things get violent.
I'll be cheering you on then.
Why are we on the subway?
The temple was in this district, but it had a subterranean chamber that led to the treasure. The coin will unlock the gates when we get there.
How will we know?
The train stopped. Everything stopped. Even the people. Time stood still, except Hibiki and Charlotte. Charlotte grabbed Lillian, shaking her. The bracelet glowed, and Lillian started moving again.
What just happened? Why isn't anyone moving?
We're here. Try not to touch anyone.
Why?
Because you'll bring them into this mess. We're at a place outside of time, or at least outside of your dimension.
Hibiki led Charlotte and Lillian to the subway doors and slowly pried them open. A long, dark hallway. A flame appeared above Hibiki's head, floating, connected to nothing.
Watch your step.
Is this where you say don't look down?
The edge between the subway and the cave was an endless darkness that had no substance or depth she could perceive.
Keep moving, hun.
They kept walking in silence, the flame illuminating a path in a narrow corridor until they came to a door. A large blue door built into the wall of the cave. Hibiki placed the coin in a slot and placed his hand on it. The slot closed and the blue door started to rise off the ground, going higher and higher into an empty darkness.
Whew. We're here.
It's
Get
beautiful.
A jungle inside the cave, illuminated by some unexplainable light. A gorgeous temple in the middle of the jungle, with a waterfall flowing through it. Something flew right above them.
Tetsuya?
How did he get in?
He must have followed us.
I told you this wasn't over.
Tetsuya was in his raven form, but he started to get bigger and bigger. He swooped down and caught Hibiki in his claws, flying away with him.
This ends now.
Hibiki!
Don't worry about me. Keep going.
End this!
I don't know how!
You're smart. You'll figure it out.
Hibiki turned into a fox and started biting Tetsuya, who flew them off through the trees. Lillian watched them, confused.
I just saw your boyfriend get carried away by an angry giant talking bird.
He's not my boyfriend.
You keep telling yourself that. Aren't we supposed to be saving the world?
Right. Let's head for the temple.
Lillian and Charlotte ran towards the stone steps, barely visible in the dense jungle. The sky above, or air above the temple, was still a cave, but a bright light seemed to hang at the ceiling. Strange-looking birds flew around. The jungle swallowed them. There was a single path. The more they ran, the darker the path got.
Where did the light go?
Maybe if I use the bracelet, like before.
They stopped moving. Charlotte held the bracelet out and imagined a fire like Hibiki had above him.
Hun?
I did it! I did it!
Maybe you should turn it off.
In front of them, getting closer, was a giant snake, the size of a bus. It hissed for a second before opening its mouth, revealing large fangs that dripped venom. The snake dropped from the tree it was hanging off of and raised itself to full height.
I thought he said I wasn't supposed to be able to see anything.
Maybe the rules are different here?
Do something!
I'm trying!
Do something!
The snake struck at them, its mouth wide open, striking invisible air around it. It thrashed again and again. Charlotte fell to her knees, her body pushing against the weight.
Stay right there!
Do you think I'm going anywhere?
I'll be right back.
Hibiki ran through the trees on all fours, leaping in between the bush as Tetsuya flew around, looking for him.
Come out, wherever you are.
Tetsuya looked more like a harpy than a man. His arms were covered in thick, black plumes. He flapped his wings. A gust of wind cut through the trees, leaving an opening where sunlight poured into a clearing. Hibiki jumped out of the bush. His fist connected with Tetsuya's face, flames soaring behind him.
That was a cheap shot.
Like everything you do?
Tetsuya kicked Hibiki off, taking flight through the trees as Hibiki pursued him, turning more and more into a fox with every step. Tetsuya into a raven, leaving a wake of fire and wind destroying whatever was in their path, heading towards the temple.
I can't hold on much longer.
A golden bubble surrounded Charlotte, while the giant serpent bit down again. Its fangs cracked the barrier like glass. Shards started to fall by Charlotte's feet. The snake reeled back, ready to strike one last time. Charlotte looked over to a falling tree. Lillian was riding it?
Woohoo!
The serpent recoiled after being hit with it. Lillian rolled into the shrubs near Charlotte, while the trees separated their paths.
Shoot it! Shoot it!
With what?
I don't know. Imagine.
Charlotte put her hand out and closed her eyes, remembering what Hibiki did before. Flames burst from her hand, striking the snake right through its mouth. The creature howled and snapped back. Coiling, it turned and fled into the jungle. Charlotte held her hand out for a minute before Lillian tackled her.
That was so awesome.
I think I need some new pants.
You didn't.
I'm not sure right now. I think I had a stroke.
There was an explosion in the distance. Hibiki shot into the sky. He recovered and shot fireballs at the ground. Tetsuya dodged each fireball. Each wing seemed to bend, shrink, and grow at the right moment. His claws struck Hibiki, who threw Tetsuya down, sending another volume of flames before crashing into the jungle after Tetsuya.
That's right. I don't have time to be afraid.
I'm right behind you.
They exchanged a look and ran down the small twists and turns through the trees. The jungle was alive. Eyes and sounds seemed to follow and watch them, no matter how deep they got. Lillian stopped and tugged on Charlotte's shirt. Charlotte grabbed Lillian's hand and kept walking.
I know they're out there. Don't pay attention to them.
I know. But what do you think they are?
Maybe they're like Hibiki and Tatsuya.
Tetsuya? That's the other guy, right?
Yeah, the one who turns into a raven.
Thought it was a pigeon.
You thought he was a pigeon? Are you serious?
Hun, not the time.
This whole thing is completely insane, isn't it?
Doll, listen, you might want to...
I was born in Minnesota. How did I get here?
Lillian walked up to Charlotte, who at this point was pacing back and forth, and turned her around. Two flames in the distance, and they were moving.
They're coming closer.
Hibiki, his body sore, lip bloody, held his hands up. Tetsuya charged at him, claws out. Hibiki sidestepped him and struck Tetsuya across the face, and followed up with a few more hits, before Tetsuya flew upwards, carrying Hibiki. He dropped Hibiki, turning back for the kill. Hibiki fell onto the stone steps.
Why? Why do you want to end everything?
You want some justification? You want me to say there's a moral reason to want to be a god? To end humanity? I just want peace and quiet. Humans are loud and messy. Do I really need a bigger reason than that?
Yeah!
They crashed against each other on the stone steps, grappling hand in hand, until the ground shook. Above them stood a blue-skinned giant. It started speaking, holding swords in 4 of its 6 arms.
Truth.
I'm not sure why I should trust you.
Because I'm
For the love of everything that's holy, don't say a bird of your word.
Hibiki and Tetsuya leapt apart, right as one of the swords crashed down, splitting the stone. The blue-skinned giant growled. Tetsuya flew upwards, distracting it, while Hibiki sent fireball after fireball.
Who's there?
They aren't talking.
Lillian and Charlotte watched the flames come closer until they saw more coming from the distance. The flames hovered, a bright blue, illuminating the path. Nothing, and no one attached to them.
I think they want us to go that way?
But who?
I'm sure we'll find out.
Let's get going then.
They slowly started walking, blue flames on each side of them. Instead of trees, they saw a thick, permanent darkness stretched out. On one side was Lillian talking to Jonah. The other was Charlotte standing alone in the rain, like an old movie reel.
What is this?
I'm not sure.
Lillian's side started moving and talking.
I tried talking to her. She's impossible to talk to.
Don't talk about her that way.
Everyone at the office already avoids her. Why are you friends with that girl?
Just because you haven't gotten the chance to get to know her doesn't mean you understand her. Charlotte's sweet and loyal. Sure, she's afraid and a little antisocial, but there's nothing she wouldn't do for someone she loved.
Gah. Shut up. Why don't you just marry her then?
Lillian slapped Jonah. He looked surprised and then angry. He went to raise his hand to hit her and suddenly shook his head.
You're not worth the lawsuit.
You don't have the guts anyway.
Jonah left the room. Lillian laid down on the bed, looking up at the ceiling.
Guess we dodged a bullet, girl. That guy was nothing but trouble. Charlotte's gotta be so mad at me for all this. I'll just stay here tonight. She'll have to forgive me.
The scene ended with Lillian looking at the ceiling. Charlotte paused and looked back, still walking forward.
You tried to set me up with Jonah? I thought you slept with him.
I thought you were lonely, and he seemed like a good guy until you snubbed him. Then he just got so nasty. I was so angry at myself, I just couldn't be around anyone.
You were right. I was lonely.
As if on cue, Charlotte's walk in the snow scene started moving. She walked up the snow-covered steps and looked at the rocks, then bent down and started to pick them up, piece by piece. The moon cast a glow on her face. No words came out as she softly cried.
I was lonely. I was afraid. I'm still afraid, but...
The scene where Hibiki sat in the room while Lillian came back from the night with Jonah played out, without any sound playing. Charlotte and Lillian watched it intently.
From the moment I met Hibiki, nothing has made any sense. He's brash, sarcastic, and endlessly frustrating. He knows exactly what not to say, and he loves saying it.
The scene changed again, possessing a man in the museum, Charlotte, all too eager to run off. And something changed. They both noticed it. Charlotte started laughing more, smiling more.
That's when we stole the coin from the museum. He's such a goofball, you know? He lives for trouble.
Charlotte, in the scene, was watching Hibiki clumsily walk back, holding the hot chocolate during the snow festival, almost spilling it.
He's definitely a good fit for you. You're a match made in awkward heaven.
But he doesn't love me, does he?
You really think he'd go this far for you otherwise?
Hibiki, in the scene, watched Charlotte sleep on the train. He leaned over her and brushed her hair out of her eyes. He smiled gently, watching her, before looking out at the scenery. Charlotte shifted and fell on top of him. Hibiki stretched out, looking frightened, until he accepted his fate and put his arms around her.
I don't remember that one.
You're totally blushing.
Shut up.
The last scene ended with Charlotte sitting at the bar, with Hibiki as a fox, sitting on the counter. They had an animated conversation until the guy from the corner of the bar tried to pick her up. She didn't see it when it happened, but Hibiki leapt down from the counter and turned into a human. No one seemed to notice, but he was ready to pull the guy off Charlotte from the start.
He was waiting the whole time. Lillian, do you think I'm in love with Hibiki?
Girl, look at you. Look at where we are. You wouldn't even stay for karaoke. What do you think?
Oh my god. I'm in love with Hibiki.
I can't believe you needed to figure that one out.
From us to you, happy Valentine's Day.
Falling in Love with a Moon Part 2 was written and directed by Justin Morton, produced by Sasha Bloor, edited by E.S. Henry, Justin Morton and Sasha Bloor, with music and sound effects by Epidemic Sound. Theme by Ryan Smolek and Lucas Dorsey, voiced by Sasha Bloor, starring E.S. Henry, Chris Tatoli, S.H. Cooper, EVH, Gary Scales, Megan Taylor, and narrated by Matt Raftis. Thank you.